Hey, Miss Marion here. Let's turn to page 114. We are doing two lessons today, just so you know. We're doing 9 and 10. So I can identify the same data represented in a bar graph, a segmented bar graph, and two-way tables. I can use two-way frequency tables or relative frequency tables to find associations among variables. So let's go ahead and let's do a sentence and a number for this one. So 1 I don't remember, 2 I kind of remember, 3 I do remember, and then 4 I can teach it to my friend. So again, we're also doing lesson 10. So on page 115, doing lesson 10 I-can statement, I can create relative frequency tables, bar graphs, and segmented bar graphs from frequency tables to find associations among variables. Again, write yourself a sentence. Give yourself a number. 1, I don't remember. 2, I kind of remember. 3, I do remember. And 4, I can teach it to my friend. All right, to kind of get our brain started about two-way tables, this is a two-way table, okay? And just kind of look at it for a second. And based on the data, who is more likely to watch the new daily news? Somebody who is younger than 18 or somebody who is 18 or older? So go ahead and think about that for a second, answer that question, and then come back to me. So just looking at this information, there are more young people who watch the news than the older ones. So if we look at it, so those who watch the news, younger than 18 is 30. Okay, watch the news, older than 18 is 10. So based on this information, it's saying that the younger people actually will watch the news than the older. Now, that might not be true for everything, but just with the information that we're following, that's what we get from this. So let's go ahead and turn to page 87 and 88. So on page 87 is the two-way table. Actually, it's still called a two-way table, even though it has more information. And then on page 88 is where we're going to kind of fill in. So here's a two-way table that shows the data about cell phone usage among children aged 10 to 18. And what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and fill in this table down here as far as percentages and kind of figure out what it is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the percentages as far as through the row. So notice how there's not this total down here. And so notice how the percentages always have to be out of 100. So think about a way that you can go ahead and fill this in. And then, so pause and do that and then come back to me. So if you actually look at it, notice how down here there is 42%. How did they get that? What they did is we did 25 divided by 60, okay? And notice in your calculator, you get 0.41666 repeated, right? And we want 2 decimal places. So we're going to go ahead and look at the guy next to him. Is that guy 5 or above? Yes, give the original a shove. And we're going to have 0.42, but then we want to go ahead and make it into a percentage. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with 10 to 12-year-olds who do not have a cell phone. So we're going to go ahead and say 35 divided by 60. So let's do 35 divided by 60. We get 0.58333 repeated. So it's going to be 0.58, which is 58%. The totals are always going to be out of 100 because technically we do 60 divided by 60, okay? Now let's do 13 to 15-year-olds. Same kind of thing. So we're going to say 40 divided by 50. Notice how the total over here is 50, and so we're going to change it over here. So we're going to say 40 divided by 50, and that is 0.8, right? But we want it as a percentage, so we have to make it a D percent because we need 2 decimal places. Then we're going to do 10 divided by 50. Grab your calculator, 10 divided by 50. That is 0.20 because we need 2 decimal places. What is that? That's going to be 20%. And then the last one, we're going to do 50 divided by, and notice how this total over here is 60 again, so we're going to divide it by 60. So 50 divided by 60 is 0.83 or 83%. And then we have 17%, and then always the total is always going to be 100% because technically it's 60 divided by 60, which is 100 or 1.00, okay? So now that we have filled in this table, we're going to actually talk about this table and what it actually means. So this is what is called a relative frequency table. Relative frequency is the percentage table, and it has to deal, you can either do it by row or you can do it by column. We did it by row here. And notice again, this is how we filled in the information as far as this relative frequency. Now looking at the answers, or the questions as far as on page 88, it says two-way tables that show relative frequencies often do not include a total row at the bottom. Why? So go ahead and answer that question. So write it on page 88, answer that question, and then come back to me. So the reason why this relative frequency table does not have totals down on the bottom is because we're actually doing all of the relative frequency information through each year, like each school, like the years of the students. And so it's total, we're not going to have totals as far as on the bottom because we haven't done anything with the column. Also, if we add downward as far as the column, it's not going to add to 100%. It's because all of our information is actually on the row information. So we're not going to have a column one as far as in here. Let's look at number 3. Is there an association between age and cell phone usage? How does the two-way table of the relative frequency help us to illustrate this? Go ahead and answer that question and then come back to me. So yes, there is an association as far as the usage of cell phones and the age. Notice how this one's 42. This is 42%, this is 80%, this is 83%. So if you look at it, those percentages are actually going up. And then of course these ones are going to go down because as these ones go up, these are going to go down because of course adding all the way across, it has to be 100%. So if we look at all of this together, yeah, this actually shows us a little bit more information when we have a relative frequency. That's where it's the percentage table that we're actually looking at. All right, let's go ahead and turn to page 95. And on page 95, it says, for a survey, students in class answered these questions. Do you play a sport or do you play a musical instrument? And then they went ahead and we got some of the information. It says, here is a two-way table that gives some results from the survey. Complete the table assuming that all students answered both questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of work with the information that we have to go ahead and fill in the rest of the table. So remember, if we add downward, this total here, if we add downward, it's gonna happen. It's gonna add to 25. We have 16. We want 25. So let's do 25 minus 16. We're gonna get 9. So in this corner over here, as far as does not play, needs to be 9. Notice how going across, again, it has to add to 25. So we have 15, and we have something missing. So let's do 25 minus 15. Oh, that's 10. So in here is 10. And then again, as far as the row, adding together, everything going across has to add together, make 16. We're going to do 16 minus 5. That is 11. And then again, adding downward. So 5 plus something equals 10. Well, that's going to be 5. And then at 11 plus something is going to equal 15. Let's fix that. Okay. So 11 plus something is going to equal 15. Well, that needs to be 4. So notice how all of these, if I add downward, they're all going to equal, 5 plus 5 is 10. 11 plus 4 is 15. 16 plus 9 is 25. And then if we add sideways, so we have 5 plus 11 is 16, 5 plus 4 is 9, 10 plus 15 is 25. So notice how we have all these totals, and if we're given some of the information on the two-way table, we're able to go ahead and fill in the rest of the two-way table. So again, here are the answers that we should have gotten. And then let's go ahead and answer some questions about this two-way table. Number 2, to the nearest percentage point, what percentage of students who play a sport do not play a musical instrument? So our total is those who play a sport. So we're looking at it and we're like, okay, those who play a sport, that total is 16. That's the bottom number that we're going to use. So out of those people who play a sport, we want to figure out the number of those who do not play a musical instrument. So that's 11. So we're going to do 11 divided by 16. And we are going to get 0.6875. We want 2 decimal places. Look at the guy next to him. Is he 5 or above? Yes, give the original a shove. 0.69. And then this is also known as 69%. Let's look at number 3. To the nearest percentage point, what percentage of students who do not play a sport also do not play a musical instrument? So do not play a sport. So where's that? So do not play a sport. That's over here. That is 9. Okay. So our total is going to be 9. And then we're looking at those who also do not play a musical instrument. Do not play a musical instrument is 4. So we're going to go ahead and do 4 divided by 9. That's 0.44444 repeated. We want 2 decimal places. Is the guy next to him 5 or above? No, so we're going to leave it the same. So it's going to be a 0.44, which we know as 44%. All right, let's go ahead and turn to page 96. And on page 96, it actually just has the bottom table, but it says complete the table to make a two-way table for the data from earlier. So the earlier one is the top one. The table will show relative frequencies by column. So remember, your total kind of stuff is done by column. Go ahead and pause, answer those questions, and then come back to me. All right, here are the answers that you should have gotten. Notice how it's 50% and 50% because it's going to be 5 divided by 10 is 50. 5 divided by 10 is 50. And then here is 73% because it's 11 divided by 15. And then the 27 is 4 divided by 15. So notice how on the column we use the totals that are on the bottom part of the column to go ahead and find our relative frequency table. All right, so let's go ahead and turn back to page 114. We're going to read the I can statements for lesson 9 and 10. So 9 is I can identify the same data represented in a bar graph, a segment bar graph, and a two-way table. Mostly we were looking at two-way tables today. I can use a two-way frequency table or relative frequency table to find associations among variables. Lesson 10 is I can create relative frequency tables by bar graphs and segmented bar graphs from frequency tables to find associations among variables. Again, we're more focusing on just the two-way tables and the frequency tables for today. So make sure you go ahead and write a sentence for both I can statements for lesson 9 and lesson 10. Give yourself a number. So 1, I don't remember. 2, I kind of remember it. 3, I do remember. And 4, I can teach it to my friend. So our homework is actually a two-way table practice worksheet. It is in Canvas. In the Canvas, you can actually click on it. You can actually bring up that worksheet if you want to go ahead and write it on paper, or you can just go ahead and do the math that's in there. But again, it is in Canvas. It is a worksheet, and that's what we're doing for today. We are not doing the practice problems for lesson 9 and lesson 10. We are only doing this homework for today. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.